All right. This is the general meeting of the Overlook Neighborhood Association for July.
Whoa.
Welcome, everybody. My name's Brad Halverson, and I'm helping chair this meeting because Alexandra is out of town. And she thought she was maybe going to be able to call in from the road, but it's not working out. So if her name appears up there at some point, you know why. And yes, you get this lovely background tonight because I don't want to show you the other sides of the table. Let's see, I'm going to share the agenda. Had all that ready to go as soon as I can find it. Pretty cool. No, that is not what I want. Sorry. All right, making progress here. Sorry about that. Okay. Zoom and share. So this is the agenda of the meeting. We have one change to the agenda. The transition project presentation is not going to happen this month. I think, if I remember, it's going to happen next month. The proposal is we'll move some other things up and to fill that spot so that we can leave the Zenith request at 7:15-ish and the Safe Rest Village sites discussion at 7:25. We'll still have Steve Fossler presenting. Hi, Steve. Thank you for joining us, and we'll get you going here in just a second. Are there any other agenda items that we need to talk about tonight? And if you're not typically on this call, because for instance, you're a board member, if you could put your address in the chat, just a rough, what corner, what intersection you're on, that would be great. And that way we can keep track of that for voting purposes down the road and things like that. All right. So Steve, are you ready to present?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I think you can go ahead and share your screen if you'd like. I'm going to guess you have something to share.
I do, yes.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank you for inviting us to your meeting. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I can't see anything yet. I'm not sure if that's by design or if it's just coming up slow. Others can let me know if you see it. That would be great.
No, I don't see it.
Okay.
Me either.
Okay.
George here.
Okay.
I'll try again.
There.
Okay. Yes.
We have a picture.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good. I'm as surprised as you are. Okay. Yes, thank you for inviting us. The project site is 1535 North Alberta. You can see my, oops, I don't know what that does. There we go. Okay.
It's touchy. There.
I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. So it's near Alberta and Interstate. Second lot in behind the large development that's been there before. No, it's supposed to just move from one to the next. Sorry, I tested this before too. So. There we go. Okay, so here's the actual site. It's a 50 by 100 lot. On the left side is Alberta Street. The site is 5,000 square feet. The site plan shows this is the outline of the building, set back 3 feet from the sidewalk. The ground level floor plan shows here we have 2 small community rooms in the front and the main entrance to the building. On the ground floor is a bicycle room, trash and recycling, and 4 studios. We call these enhanced studios because they're deeper and they have doors and windows at each end. Sorry. Well, we'll just flip through these more quickly than I expected. This is a rendering of the front of the building. The material is painted hardy panel. These are the community rooms on the front. Down the side, there's a 11-foot wide buffer with an additional walkway to the 4 studios. I'm not changing. Okay, now I've got it under control. The typical upper floor looks like this. There's a 5 one-bedrooms and 1 studio on each upper floor, total of 16 units. The 1-bedrooms are about 486 square feet. Some of them are 500. 1 600. Studios 334. This is the east side of the building facing toward Interstate, but there are 2 buildings between this facade and Interstate. This is the west side of the building. It faces the landscape buffer facing west. We can check back to the site plan, which will show that we're planting lots of trees and shrubs along this side of the building as a buffer to the residential area. Again, the front and west side of the building, this area here will be trees and shrubs and ground cover. So this will be all wooded, a wooded corridor here. Some low shrubs across the front. There will be street trees as well, but they're not shown here. Interstate is off to the right. We are providing plenty of bicycle parking, but instead of car parking, which is very difficult to do on a 50 by 100 lot, we're doing the transportation development plan, which is, it says option, it's not really optional, but this indicates that the developer will pay into the fund and at the rate of $1,100 per unit, and is committed to 4 years of transit incentive package plan packages to all the tenants, and they report to PBOT every year for the first 4 years to encourage alternatives to using an automobile. Here's a list of questions we often get about projects, so I'll just go through these quickly. I'm sure you will have it. Basically, there's no commercial space in the building, so there won't be any food service or exhaust hoods for food. We're not proposing inclusionary housing in this project. The stormwater infiltration is on site, and then we have enhanced landscaping along the west side of the site. No car parking, plenty of bike parking, but the TDM program will be in place. Garbage and recycling will be inside the building. And basically the summary is the number of units: 10 one-bedroom, 4 enhanced large studios, and 2 efficiency studios.
I'm sorry, that was 10 one-bedrooms, and what else?
4 large studios on the ground floor and 2 efficiency studios.
Sorry, I was late. I'm Marcy. I'm taking the notes.
Oh, okay, sorry. And then on the site plan, you'll see we've got the 10-foot landscape buffer along the west side of the site. It's heavily landscaped and intended to be a screen as required by the zoning code. Total building area is just over 10,000 square feet, and it's 3 stories, about 35 feet high. So that's a quick overview. I'm glad to answer questions or offer more information.
I'll go first. I took a look at your website, and you have kind of an extraordinary assortment of projects that you've done over the years. Do you have any one that you've worked on in the last few years that would look similar to this?
There are several nearby, actually. You look on Webster, there's one directly behind 1531. Right here, there's also another one on Sumner. Right here, that are similar size and scale.
Other questions?
Is there, you said you had garbage and recycling inside. Does that also include composting?
It can accommodate food composting. At the moment, I don't believe there is a composting program for apartment buildings, but when there is, this will accommodate it.
Yeah, I know there's no rule form. That's why I'm asking if you will provide that, or if everybody just throws their food in the trash.
At this point, since there's no way for people to pick it up, people could carry it someplace, but unlikely. So yes, they'll be in the garbage.
Are there any variances that you need for this project?
No.
What do you expect are going to be the rent prices?
I don't know. We, as architects, we don't get into that. I can check with the developer and see what they have in mind. I suspect they won't know until the building is more complete, but they will be market rate. They're not luxury by any means, but they're not subsidized either.
Do you know of a building time window?
Yes, we're in permit review, so we expect perhaps to begin construction by the end of the summer.
And then a year to build?
Yeah, 10 months to 12, depending on weather.
Yeah, and who's going to predict that with everything we've gone through in the last 6 months?
Sure.
Other questions?
What's the building on the right-hand side?
It's a single-family house.
To the north? Is that what you're?
To the east?
To the east.
Yeah, east is a house.
Okay.
Does this site currently
George, go ahead.
this site currently has a house on it?
No, the house was removed about a year ago.
Okay, just vacant lot.
Vacant lot now, yes.
And do you know if there's any plan for the house that's directly east to be demolished and have a similar multi-unit apartment complex go in there? It would be zoned for it, correct?
It's zoned for it, yes, but we don't, I don't know of anyone doing that yet.
Right. So that house will be basically in a little canyon right there between the, yeah.
Yeah.
And there are, you said no parking, but there are 2 parking spaces basically on the street?
Right, yes.
I see. Okay.
Are there any anticipation of a street closure when this building, or is that under a different purview?
Oh, I'm not sure if for staging they may take the parking directly in front of the building for a period of time, but I don't think the street would not be closed, no.
Because that's kind of the alleyway to the beach school there.
Sure, yeah. No, I'm pretty sure even if someone wanted to, they could not get that street closed. So no, we won't try.
Other questions? All right.
Okay,
Thank you very much for coming and presenting and explaining the project to us.
you're welcome. Glad to. If you have further questions in the future, just let us know.
It just occurred to me,
Mhm.
and you might not know this one either. There's another single family house that would be directly west of your project.
Correct.
And is it similarly zoned for this to happen?
No, it's not. I think the zone change is right on the west side of this site. So that's why we've got the landscape buffer on the west. It's required between the two different zones.
Okay. So the zone change occurs basically mid-block.
Yes,
Okay. All right. Thank you.
sure.
All right. Thank you, Steve. And you can go ahead and stop sharing. That would be great.
Okay.
So I play my rookie role here.
Mhm.
Have a good evening.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome to stay if you want.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to go back to the agenda for a second, if I can find it again. And share it
I
again.
apologize for being tardy. Did we already approve the agenda, and who moved and did that?
You know what? We didn't actually
Okay.
do that, but let's do that. I did describe the lack of the transitions project information presentation. Okay. So somebody please approve the agenda, move that we approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
All right.
Oh, Cynthia moved?
Yeah.
Yeah, and a second.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? Okay, thank you. So I need a little bit of a timekeeper for me. So we're gonna do the other things so that we can try to leave the last two items as 7:15, the Zenith letter, and the 7:25 Safe Dress Village sites, in case people were getting on at those particular times. So what I'm gonna do is jump to the 7:40 item, which is the August 17th social event finalization. So typically, the Overlook Neighborhood Association has not had an August general meeting, and instead we have a social event. And I know, I'm confident we're going to have a social event on Tuesday the 17th. However, I can't quite put it out in the public yet, just because we need to nail things down. But certainly save the date. That's Tuesday, August 17th. Probably, I'm gonna guess, start at 6, since it's a dinner event, and it looks to be at a restaurant. So with outdoor seating is what we're hoping for. So that will be coming up in 4 weeks. And the neighborhood association will provide some let's see, non-alcoholic, non-cannabis, what else? Regular old soft drinks, I guess, or whatever, as well as
root beer.
Yeah, as well as some food. There you go. So, any questions about that? All right. Yeah, this is gonna get interesting. Okay, the board reports. Casey, I think your board report's essentially going to be rolled into the discussion at 7:25, if that's okay.
That's fine with me.
Okay. We have the other things to talk about. Alan and Cassie, how's the newsletter coming?
I have passed off all of the files to Chelsea and Bo.
And Bo. Sorry, Bo. Thanks.
Yep. They should be working on it. Bo, are you on? Were you able to get in? I saw a note from Stacy that said Bo was trying to get in the.
Yeah, I've been here.
Oh, okay, good. Good.
Yeah, I was having troubles too. I had to call in.
I oopsed to start, which didn't help. I was in the meeting with myself and figured that out right at 6:30, so I apologize for that. Yeah.
You enjoyed the meeting with
Yeah, I had a good meeting. Yeah. In fact, yeah, I patted myself on the back too. Let's see.
Bo, do you have any questions about the newsletter coming along? Have you been able to get Chelsea?
No, we actually, Chelsea and I met, and she's going to do the full layout for this upcoming. So right after, now that I know kind of the process to submit and how to submit things, the next winter edition will be me on my own.
Okay.
Sounds good. And then Alan, you'll have it delivered once it's printed and.
Yep, I expect it around August the 16th.
Okay. Sounds good. From the transportation aspect, we're still waiting for Adidas's contractor to finish their construction of the bike path there along the Adidas property. So, which was supposed to be done the end of the 1st of June, then it was the 1st of July, now it's the 1st of August. I'm not sure what's holding things up, but that's why we're still in this tweener land. But we have, I don't know if Nick's on tonight, but Nick Coda and I have been having discussions with the city folks to emphasize, it's important to make sure that we've got things, that it's clear where to go during the detour time or the construction phases and things like that. And Nick is hosting a bike ride coming up here. I don't have the date right on me.
I think it's August 1st. It was in this week's email update.
Yeah. So that's not this weekend upcoming, but the next weekend. And I don't think that's actually going to focus on Greeley. That's just going to be a bike ride through the area. And for those folks who are going to do the bridge pedal, it'd be a warm up if they need one, because there is a bridge pedal this year.
There is.
Yes.
Wow.
Let's see, other board reports. George or Cynthia or Marcy or.
I'll go.
Well,
Ain't much. The last PSAC meeting was canceled. The one for here for July, and August is also going to be canceled. And so the next one is going to be on Thursday, September 16th from 7 to 8 p.m. And to get on that, the contact, if you're not on the list already, and their contact point would be psac.nne.pdx@gmail.com. That's psac.nne.pdx@gmail.com. And so I believe Alexandra is on that list, and Marcy is on that list, I think.
yes, I am.
Yep. And I think Cynthia was on that list also, but.
Yeah, I'm on the list.
Okay. But you're going to be going sideways before September, I think.
Yep.
What? You'll have more on that later. So at any rate, the PSAC, the notes are out there, also available on that, or if you're on the list from the last meeting. And the fellow who's going to be coordinating from their end, the latest on the homeless situation will be deferred until then. So otherwise we'll be getting it off the regular news. And I think that's about it.
Great, thank you, George. Cynthia?
Yeah, I'm happy to report that the beautiful, iconic American elm in Overlook Park was designated last week as a heritage tree.
Woohoo.
So, yay, as it so richly deserves. It's so gorgeous. I wrote an article about the heritage trees for the Overlook Views, encouraging people to check them out. And especially, of course, the new one at Overlook Park, the new old tree. Ginger Edwards from Arbor Lodge. She's the ex-chair of the Arbor Lodge Neighborhood Association. She's the chair of the North Portland Parks Advisory Group, which I have been on. And she's also a member of the Heritage Tree Commission, commission. She had the great idea about creating a bike ride, speaking of bike rides, to some of the heritage trees in North Portland. And Overlook, we are rich with heritage trees. We've got 10 of them. And so she's got, I believe it's August 9th. She has got an AM and a PM bike ride. And the AM one will start at Peninsula Park and then proceed south through safe routes and visit almost all of the heritage trees in Overlook Park. So it's going to be the one heritage tree at Peninsula Park, and then going through our neighborhood will be very nice. And so I'll write up a shorter version for the weekly e-blast, so people will get it. I wrote an article about the bike ride for the newsletter, but I just realized when Alan said, Alan, didn't you say August 16th?
Yeah.
So the bike ride will be before people will get the newsletters. And I don't think that's so terrible, even though they will have missed it when they read about it, but it might pique their interest to explore the heritage trees and so on. And then some folks will get the information through the blast. And I'm sure, Ginger, there's a lot of enthusiasm for this. The afternoon bike ride will be going to the heritage trees in Columbia Park, Cathedral Park, I don't know if it's Kelly Point Park, so other neighborhoods in North Portland. And so I think people are real excited about the concept, and there will probably be a semi-annual traditional event of bicycling and looking at the trees and having a nice time. The other thing that's new is that Overlook Park is getting a nature patch. And if you haven't seen a nature patch, you can go to Alberta Park, which is at Killingsworth and Northeast 20th or so. Very nice, very pretty, very nice park. And it's got a beautiful nature patch. And what it is, it's a concept that Portland Parks came up with to make use of areas that are not particularly user-friendly for us citizens, and also hard to maintain for parks staff. And so for us at Overlook Park, the north part of the park that goes up the hill, that's just adjacent to the apartment building, that's a ratty nothing space of the park. It's got on the far east side of that slope, there's nothing but ivy and horsetail and other kind of invasive plants, and a couple of trees. And then the rest of the space is just a steep hill. There are 2 plum trees that are not in great shape. So the plan, Michelle Thompson, who I think is on this meeting, I and a couple of other neighbors showed up and walked with Eric to check out the space. It's a very nice size space. It'll start at the flat part of the park right at Overlook Boulevard, and then go down the hill all the way to the interior path of the park. And it'll be switchbacks. There'll be a switchback pathway down the slope. So it'll be easier to descend than right now it's, you know, you put your life in your hands when you go down that hill. It'll be planted with native plants with 14 trees. They'll take out 2 plum trees, but they will plant 14 trees of various kinds, conifers, and a few deciduous, and then pretty bee pollinating plants. And then they'll have large boulders, a couple of logs. There'll be a bench at the flat part by Overlook Boulevard, you know, up on top of the hill. And it'll be a place, you know, it's not a play area, so they don't call it that. They don't want to encourage kids to necessarily get into the thicket of it. But what kids do is they go off on their own and they explore sit on the boulder and sit on the log and have fun and look at the bugs and whatever. So I think it's going to be a great asset to the park, and it's just a real pretty way to handle that part of the slope that's, you know, nothing really. And there will be plenty left of the hill for people, kids and adults to slide down when the winters have some snow, because that's a fabulous section of the park to sled in the wintertime. So there'll be plenty left for people to do that. So, and that is being paid by system development charges. So that's nice that Overlook is getting some of that money. We typically don't get that money. It's distributed. That's money that developers put into the city bucket, and then it's distributed throughout the city. And so most of the time we don't get projects with system development charges. So yay for that. That's a win for Overlook. So that's all that I have to report.
Yeah, can you remind me what the path, is it gonna be like a wood chip path, or what the surface is?
Let's see. I just remember that it's going to be soil. I don't remember him saying wood chips. Michelle, are you on the call? Are you here? I thought I saw Michelle.
I saw her name.
Yeah, I thought I saw her name. It might have some wood chips. When I'm trying to remember when I walk around Alberta Park.
Yeah, it's fine. I was just curious if you knew off the top.
Might. Yeah, it might. It's certainly not going to have any kind of, you know, artificial material. It's all going to be natural. It's nature patch.
All right. Thank you, Cynthia. And usually this would be at the end of the meeting type of thing, but I think this is Cynthia's last meeting with us.
Well, no, I'm gonna make the August board meeting.
You're going to make the August board meeting, but it's the last general. It's the last general meeting.
Yeah, last general meeting.
So I'd like to take just a second and say thank you for all the parks work and all the trees work and everything else that you have, the movies in the park and everything else, Patton Square renovation, all of that stuff. You've made this a better place, and I know I appreciate it, and I know that our neighbors do too. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. All your work.
Fantastic.
Miss you.
Yes.
We'll miss
So,
you.
and Cynthia is moving out of the neighborhood, which is why this will be her last go around here over the next month. So.
Yeah, we've sold our house, but we're still renting. So I'm still legally a board member.
I'm glad you're still here at this point.
Thank you.
So wherever you end up going, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Do we have other board reports?
I have a quick thing. There was somebody that talked to Doretta, and Jacob, by the way, says hello, George. He's with the Office of Civic and Community Life, and they are offering, if we want them, classes on de-escalation and how to get out of situations that are unsafe after somebody recently wrote in, I believe, talking about a crime wave in the neighborhood. And so the city is offering those if that's something that members of the Overlook community want to take. So I can send you the information, Cassie, and if people want to do it, they'll set it up for us to do a Zoom class. I think they're about an hour and a half to 2 hours long.
Yeah, I can include that in one of the updates. Are they like scheduled events, or do we set it up and then
We would set it up, so we would get people that are interested, and then they would set it up for us.
Okay, I see. Thanks.
So people would have to respond with they are interested, yes, and then we would set it up from there.
So like the Overlook House might be able to host something like this? Or is it just virtual at this point?
It is virtual, but we would have to set up that virtual time.
Yeah, okay.
That makes sense?
Yep.
We would have to say it's gonna be available to Overlook residents on Thursday or whatever the time we want.
I think that'd be a great agenda item to try to figure that out at the next board meeting here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, so just to clarify, that would be a Jacob Brostoff?
Yes, yes, he said to tell you hello.
Okay.
I talked to him yesterday.
Yeah, we basically have not been in touch since they backed out of doing anything with the PSAC.
Okay.
So, and I am assuming, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I should get a hold of him to see if he's been in contact with the PSAC coordinators, the volunteer coordinators, Akimi and the other lady's name, about setting up something through the PSAC group also.
Probably be a good idea.
I would think so. But then the way things are going topsy-turvy, I haven't heard anything further about any reorganization in the office. Well, it's not Office of Neighborhood Involvement. It's
OLCC.
Yeah.
Close, but yeah. OCCL.
OCCL.
Yes. Yeah, the other one I'm familiar with, but that's for a different reason.
Civic Life. Yes.
Yes.
Because they were basically going through a transition period, and they haven't really. They put out a couple little news blurbs if you're on their email list, but they're not talking about how it involves the neighborhood associations.
Yeah.
At least from what I saw, they're talking about stuff internal and their outreach programs. So
I think they've got a lot of work to do.
Okay. I'm in, as an aside there, Brad, I'm looking at the screen here. So we got the agenda up here consistently, but I can't go anywhere else. Also, as far as do I need to put my location or something like that? I can't.
Oh, I know who you are. I know who you are. I'm just looking for a couple other people that I don't recognize. There's a couple phone numbers. There's Anna St. John. There's Eric Markowitz.
I think they put something in the chat.
Some of them did. Stacy did, Steve did, Matt Scogan did, Mark Anders, just looking for, and Patricia F. Just looking for a street because we sign you in virtually, and I put this in the notes to show that you actually attended. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. So I could just say on the Willamette, close to Concord. Everybody else is chiming in with this iPad.
You don't have to.
Okay. As far as the going sideways to the chat area, I can get to it, but it doesn't show the things, and it doesn't come up with a keyboard, which
it's hard to do.
Yeah, I'm just befuddled by the whole thing here.
Okay.
I know who you are, George. I'll put you down. I know you live in the neighborhood.
I'm guilty.
Are there any other board reports besides Casey's is coming up and Grant's will be coming up too, essentially? All right. I'm just curious, I think it was Stacy, as far as the discussion around the farmers market pickup spot, did it just never come to fruition?
I just hadn't heard back from the Office of Civic Use at PPS, and it just kind of fell through the cracks. I was considering either asking someone at Adidas or maybe even the Alibi if we could use their parking lot in the morning, on Saturday morning, and it's just something that I haven't followed up on. It doesn't seem like they have other neighborhoods participating, so I'm not sure like there's an ideal place for them. I guess the parking or congestion issue would be a big factor. It looks like the St. John's Farmers Market is taking pre-orders on their app, but the pickup location is in St. John's. So I've reached out to the person that manages the St. John's Farmers Market to get a little more feedback on their interactions with them. So I think maybe we could get it to work for August and September, or to whenever their farmers market ends. I'm not sure if they go in through October or not, but I'll see what else I can find out. I think we're just not going to be able to use the beach parking lot if I can't get permission, and I would hate to see them kind of slip in there without. I think they may make some enemies doing that. So so that's still up in the air.
Okay. Thank you for the update. I mean, even if there isn't anything, appreciate your efforts, and who knows, this might get it lined up for next year is what it ends up doing. So
yeah, and St. John, the woman from St. John's, she mentioned that if it doesn't take off more, she's not sure they'll continue it, but she's working with someone to do a local person to do pre-orders, and he would deliver with his bike. So I can keep everyone updated with that if it actually comes through next spring.
Okay, so, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other board reports, by the way? I think that might have them all. Okay. So it's pretty darn close to 7:15. Hopefully Grant's here.
Yep.
Yay. Hi. Do you want me to display the letter?
Sure. Yeah. If you have it, that'd be great.
Yeah, I do. Let's see if I can do it.
Yeah. And I can give like a quick sort of recap. Yeah. Hopefully everyone got a chance to read the letter. But essentially, this is sort of similar to a letter that we had sort of endorsed from Linton a couple months ago, just kind of urging the city generally to oppose new permits for Zenith, which is energy company. They kind of import a lot of tar sands and like liquid fuel into Oregon, and specifically kind of Portland and the critical energy hub, which is like right in Linton, right on the on the Willamette. And so what's happening currently, the reason why this is coming back up again is because Zenith needs a new like air quality permit from the DEQ. And the DEQ has said that they need a new land use compatibility statement from Portland prior to the DEQ considering them for this new permit. And Zenith has kind of been pretty aggressive. They've like threatened legal action to both DEQ and the city already. And they've been operating with expired permits and looking to expand their operations. And in general, like the critical energy hub is kind of basically like a ticking time bomb. It's all this basically all the fuel for the state of Oregon is stored on like the sandy banks of the Willamette River, and it's just like a huge cluster of not good things, and none of it's like earthquake proofed. But anyways, this is kind of the letter that a bunch of other neighborhood associations are also sending, specifically urging Portland City Council to deny kind of the land use, any permits for Zenith moving forward. And even if they don't, will probably be legal action. If they do, and it does go to DEQ, there will be a public forum for the DEQ. There currently isn't with like the Bureau of Development Services, which is the bureau in charge of the land use compatibility statement. So what is happening now is just kind of a bunch of neighborhood associations are sending new letters to Portland City Council to kind of show that there is public interest in denying these permits because there isn't a formal venue to do so. Yeah.
And so this letter would be sent by us and submitted.
Yeah. So unlike the previous, unlike the previous letter that was just a letter from Linton and endorsed by us and other neighborhoods, this would be from Overlook. Yeah.
All right. Questions for Grant on this? We would like to take a vote on whether or not we're going to approve sending this letter tonight.
Is this just a board vote, or is this all neighbors?
I think it's just up to the board.
Just the board? Okay.
So do we need to make a motion?
Well, yeah, then do we wait 2 weeks? Do you think, Grant, that waiting 2 weeks is going to be a problem?
Yeah, the reason why this is coming up now is because the city is probably going to make a decision in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Do we have a quorum to vote?
I believe so.
Yeah.
The only person missing is Alexandria.
Can I raise my hand, please? This is Michelle.
You had a question, Michelle?
Yes, please.
Go ahead, speak up.
This is a letter on behalf of the neighborhood association. So isn't this something that neighbors typically would vote on to send the letter or not? That this is the right meeting to do it in?
It would be. Otherwise, it could say the board of the Overlook Neighborhood Association.
I lost all. I can't hear anybody else.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Is Michelle still there?
Yes, I'm still here. So
Okay.
that my suggestion would be, if it's coming from the neighborhood association, that a vote at this meeting of the participants here would be appropriate.
Okay.
I believe it would be. I just wasn't sure since it's kind of funky voting online. I wasn't sure how we were going to do that.
That is a little tricky. There is a way to do that, and let me just get to the thing I need to do that. Let's try this and see if a poll will work. Let me take a shot at this. Do you support?
And Brad, as you're doing that, do we need a percentage, 50%, majority?
Yes, you would need a majority of the people here to do that.
Attendance. Okay. Thanks.
So I would need a motion to.
Can I say something really quick? This is Carol Cushman, and I would love to vote yes on this. but I just messed this up. I'm going to leave and come back into the meeting.
Okay.
So please let me get a chance to vote.
Okay.
All right, Carol.
Let us know when you're back, Carol.
Okay, well, I don't know. My whole screen turned into an inch postage stamp, so I'm going to see if I can get back in.
Well, we can still hear you.
Ah. Okay, I have a small screen of you, but at least I have enough that I can read it. It's bigger than a postage stamp.
All right, let's see if I can get this. It'll take just a second. I got it almost ready to go. Untitled option 1 is going to be yes, and untitled option 2. Now, if this doesn't work, we'll go to plan B. Oops. But
And then Brad, someone posed a question, which is a good question, about those who phoned in. Are they able to vote? And how is that?
They should be able to. They could voice their votes.
And is that tabulated on what you're doing here?
it isn't. We'll go anonymous. We'll
Just throwing more
save the
curveballs at you.
question, and we'll see if this actually goes. And so I'll launch the polling. The question is, do you support sending a letter opposing the Zenith site permit? I see Carol's back. So let's just see if this works. Attendees are now viewing the questions. There are 22 people voting.
So I just submitted. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I made it anonymous.
Okay.
So I can't tell who voted. I can tell you that out of the 22 that are out there, and I'm probably one of them that hasn't voted, we are 100% yes.
Okay.
So, and I very much appreciate the folks who are calling in. Does anybody oppose sending the letter? Okay.
So
I'm Steve Barney. I'm Steve Barney, and I phoned in, and I'm able to post my vote online also.
Oh, great.
I voted yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Oh,
good to see.
Eureka, it works.
Exactly.
So the voting has to be online?
It is.
Just was.
It is still out there, but I'm going to go ahead and close it.
And with an iPad, I don't know. It says poll in progress, but I don't see any way that I can say yes.
Okay.
I'm saying yes.
Okay.
Thank you, George. Appreciate it. And I'm saying yes as well. So I think we have unanimous support to do that. And here are the results. Let's see how that, hopefully you can see that.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, kind of cool. Thank you, thank
out.
you. That wasn't, when we started the pandemic, they actually couldn't do that on here. So, all right, I'm going to stop sharing the results. Grant, thank you very much. Do you have what you need?
I do, yes, thanks.
Great, appreciate it. 725, look at that. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. And now it's going to be Casey's. Casey Boggs's show. As soon as I can put share the right screen here. And what I want is not on the screen. I love it when that happens. So hang on, Casey.
Sure. It's halftime, the NBA Finals, so I'm okay.
Okay. I'm gonna say, yeah, I was
Once it goes to the
so
third quarter,
bummed.
I might have to go really quickly.
Last night I was so bummed. Like I sat down and it's like, what do you mean it's not on tonight? It can't be tomorrow night. Okay, here we go.
Better for DVRs or whatever.
All right. Here. Do you need to share the screen, Casey?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I'm gonna share, if it's okay with you, the joint statement that we sent previously.
Oh, okay, fair.
All right, go ahead.
So let me start out by introducing myself to those who are on. My name is Casey. I'm on the Neighborhood Association board, but we have a small committee called the Homeless Update Committee. And it's exactly as it stands. Obviously homelessness and those experiencing homelessness is a very contentious, challenging issue for all involved. And our job is to update the board and those residents who participate in our group meetings here to give our best updates on what's happening within our neighborhood and perhaps even the surrounding neighborhoods and the city. We are not an advocacy for the most part. We're just simply here to inform and keep apprised on a very, challenging issue, for lack of a better term. Just as far as I'm going to the committee, my agenda here is just kind of provide an overview of our committee report, and then we'll go into this safe rest villages. I'll make the first part really simple and easy. But the update is for the board report, at least our committee reports, is that we submitted an article for the views. It's about reporting and supporting homelessness within our neighborhood. And what that means is in the coming days, you'll see an article outlining details on how residents can report camps and or homelessness in their areas or problem areas that they see, as well as how to get involved to support those experiencing homelessness and to be more active and vigilant and those types of things. So that's detailed primarily based off of information provided from the city, and specifically Johnny Lewis, who is leads up the area for the city of Portland. And so put together an article, pretty free-flowing bulleted areas to that end. So that's one aspect. So for those who are on here, as far as what can we do, how can we get involved, I hope that article will be helpful for you. So both on the hard copy as well as online. Okay. As far as the other topic of sorts is Hazelnut Grove and its future. I think the letter that you're providing here, Brad, but the letter that we developed as a Overlook Neighborhood Association, which is available online, was offered to the city outlining specifics on the effects of homelessness in our neighborhood and what we're proposing. It has been submitted to the city as of January. The only response that we received, if my understanding is right, unless I hear otherwise, is that the city sent out a mailer to all Overlook Neighborhood Association, Overlook neighbor residents in January, and maybe in February as well, that discussed Hazelnut Grove and the future of Hazelnut Grove that was going to be transformed to St. John's Village. And since then, the Hazelnut Grove is still in place. And Hazelnut Grove, for those of you who don't know, is the encampment that is on Greeley and Interstates. It's been there since 2015. As far as movement and development, there has been almost zero correspondence with the city as far as the future of Hazelnut Grove. It's our understanding, just by pure researching on our own self, is that it has been hands off from some advocacy from some groups back when the letter went out. But again, I'm not here to advocate either way, but knowing full well that the city has not communicated to the Overlook Neighborhood Association based off the letter and based off the mailer on the future of Hazelnut Grove. I also presented in May to the city council asking them for a response. I had 5 minutes to outline essentially what was outlined in the letter that Brad has up there in front of us. But to their defense, the city was not able to respond on the fly, but the request was there to say, we sent you a letter. What is the response? What is the, what is response to what was outlined, and what's the future of Hazelnut Grove? Since then, we had not heard from the city, unless and I could be mistaken, but we have not heard from the city. So that is the latest as far as how to report, how to get involved, and the Hazelnut Grove. I wish I had more details and more insights, but I do not. Before I go into parts, anyways, if there's any questions, by all means pose them. If you want on the chat, I'll do my best to review them when I can. But I do want to pivot toward the Safe Rest Villages, and this is a new development. Commissioner Ryan, part of the city of Portland, he provided, he shared inventory of city-owned parcels that would be called Safe Rest Villages. Essentially what this is the Portland City Council unanimously passed the Shelter of Housing Continuum, which is the ordinance change for zoning code to allow for siting outdoor villages. And instructed by city bureaus to identify city-owned properties that could potentially be used for outdoor shelters. And a lot of this information is available on the front page of the Overlook Neighborhood Association website. So to get more details, by all means, I encourage you to read that. And more specifically, city outlined an article which designated some potential, I want to underscore potential, 70 locations that are being considered as these safe rest villages. Smattered all across the city of Portland, southeast, southwest, whatever. But as it pertains to Overlook, I took the liberty of looking at the Excel spreadsheet that was provided by the city. And for my calculations, there were 5 potential safe rest villages in the Overlook neighborhood. And then there were 6 locations in neighboring areas, meaning neighboring that are not Overlook, but in the surrounding areas. So 5 in Overlook, 6 neighboring areas. And so we, Overlook neighborhood, has 6 of these potential safe rest villages. One is at the Willamette Bowl on North Willamette Boulevard and Jessup Street. One's on Swan Island Lagoon, which is on North Emerson. One is on Swan Island CSO on North Port Center Way. One is at Patton Tank. And the other one, which is a question mark to me because it didn't have an actual location, it just simply said Peninsula Tunnel between Greeley and Interstate. So Greeley and Interstate is essentially where Hazelnut Grove is, but the tunnel, I'm not familiar with that term, but that's kind of where they had a potential site. What is not listed on here is the location of Hazelnut Grove as a location, just so you know. So the question I would have is if Hazelnut Grove is a camp that we are familiar with, does that, what happens with Hazelnut Grove once these safe rest villages are identified and confirmed, what happens there? So those are my calculations. I might be mistaken, but I went as thoroughly as possible leading up to today's meeting. And this is only about a week's worth of, actually less than that, probably 5 days of being notified of these safe rest villages. So more details to follow. I have been following as best as I possibly can through correspondence, through conjecture, different discussions. But that's the facts as it stands right now. As far as time frame and when they would actually be designated, it's my understanding that the sites will be done or be designated by the end of this year. Specifically, I don't know. That's always a moving target from my gathering. And then when will they be erected? My understanding would be beginning of the year, 2022. Again, I'm doing some guessing based off the articles I've read, but that's my best understanding on the articles that are been proposed. Has the city outreach to the Overlook Neighborhood Association? As far as I know, no. Mm-hmm. So that's, for the most part, are the facts based off of, again, what's been provided so far. Open questions that I have as far as the committee is concerned is why Overlook has more proposed sites than any other neighborhood. And again, this is just ascertained by calculating of the 70 sites, 5 are in our neighborhood, Overlook neighborhood. I don't necessarily see any other neighborhood absorbing as many sites or close to as many sites. And a question I would have is Hazelnut Grove going to be reassigned to one of these sites once designated? And then the broader question I have as well is, once the sites are developed, does that mean individual sites are required right now that are encampments? Are they required to go to these new what they call potential safe rest villages? Questions, I don't know the answers to them. The other thing we're going to be doing as a committee is to connect with other neighborhood associations to get their translation of what this is and what they've decided to do moving forward, because it's obviously a pretty big lift for the city to do such a thing. What it means to our neighborhoods across Portland, but more specifically to Overlook. Again, we don't know yet, but certainly be worthwhile to look at our friends all across the Portland, specifically those who are affected by these potential sites, and then get that insights and perhaps be a little more informed. But I would propose, if possible, to have a letter with questions not only that I might have or our committee has, but certainly the Overlook Neighborhood Association has, or even residents have, on what this means and what the city has not provided to residents up until this point. So a lot there. I get it. I talk fast, but that's my jam. But I will at least want to make sure everyone's informed and has an avenue, if necessary, to voice their discussions or voice their questions, and then I'll do my best to answer them now and or seek those answers from the city.
Casey, so Stacy asked, of the 70 sites, how many would be developed? And my understanding was, of all these 70 sites, they are going to develop 6 sites that are supposed to be across the city. Is that what you interpreted from?
Yeah, it's a fair question. And I did see 6 as a number, but I have also seen through other chats and sorts that may extend upon that. But again, I do not know the answer to that. It's a fair part. Will there just be 6? It's my understanding that potentially yes.
Yeah, and there could be a 6 in this phase.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Good point. It could be just 6 here, then 6 later on. Yeah, so that's the best answer now.
My understanding that basically all the bureaus were told, tell us where your so-called surplus land is that would fit certain specifications. Those all got dumped in the hat, and that's what we're seeing now, but they really haven't been vetted by the folks who are actually picking.
That's the updates that I've read.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reality. So for instance, they are not going to take the Patton, the spot next to Patton Square Park where the water tank is. They're not going to transform that into one of these sites. It's not going to happen. IFCC is going to be developed as a fabulous regional Black arts cultural center and will probably absorb that spot. So awesome. Just because those, as Michelle said, just because those sites are listed, it doesn't mean anything really. It's just, those are many of those sites are Water Bureau sites, Water Bureau properties, and BES properties.
That's what I noticed.
Yeah.
So the Patton Water Tower itself, in its current use, there's 2 significant telecommunications
those will
running
go
up
away.
it. The what?
They are the company's lease that give money to the city for the leases, and that will just go away. They'll find another place to put their towers and stuff on.
Gee, well, in the short term, that's hard to imagine that they could do that in any kind of short order. And there's no way that they could use that site considering the high voltage and all the other stuff associated to that. So yeah.
This is long term, George. I'm talking long term, not short term. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know, just as an example,
Yeah.
I'm sure of those 70, there are many more where people in the neighborhood who know those sites go, nah, it's not going to happen. It's not
Insane.
appropriate for that site. I'm just saying,
Insane.
the Patton Water Tower is just, it's not going to happen as a rest area.
So Julie D asked if we know what criteria is going to be used. From what I've read, they're looking for things close to transportation and close to services. So that kind of leaves out some of the places that are out farther in Southwest, because I'm not really sure what kind of services are out there. But like I said, I don't really know from the stuff that I've read. And Casey, you can, I don't know if they've told you, but you know, they're looking specifically for transportation, close to services, and safe, just, you know, safe area.
Yeah, and then that would also look at the two that are on Swan Island, to get down to Swan Island, transportation, besides maybe buses.
Yeah.
Would think a logic that would eliminate that aspect. But
and also that's just a weird industrial area to put a safe camping site. That's loud down there. I can't imagine that would be an easy spot to sleep in.
Yeah, and one of the sites is right next to a state beach. That's down there at Edinburgh Beach.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I can't imagine they're going to put that right next to the state beach. But at any rate, I've been surprised before, so I don't know. But
yeah,
it's a good question, though, Michelle. The criteria, based on what we know, is about access to services and transportation for those seeking those services.
Yeah, and I think also to be able to a spot that can actually be managed, and that you can deliver things to safely.
Yep, correct.
Yeah.
Which is a big problem right now with many of the camps.
That's right. So as I gather more information, certainly provide. But one thing that I don't know what's going on in the back end is from now until they select the 6 sites or select the sites, what can be done, right? Is it simply just stating a case of why they should not be here or not? Is championing that, boy, this doesn't seem fair because these areas are unsafe, they're not right for such camps. What is being done to voice opinions, those types of things. Again, I'm not there to make that realm, but all I know right now is that what's being proposed are the sites that are overlooked. Again, they may not necessarily be the ones, but they are candidates to be there. And what is it to just simply have the criteria be outlined by the city, or will there be worthwhile opposition to stake our claim? And I'm open to outreaching to the city, which can this might go on deaf ears. I've been frustrated. I'm stating this because the letter that we proposed, I get well thought out and voted upon it, and make sure that they had it. It went unanswered, so not being jaded too much, but certainly whatever the city wants to do, they're going to do. But it, certainly worth it for the record, posing questions, advocating one way or the other based off of community voice. I'd be willing to do so, but I want to stay true to the committee and be factual, not advocate.
So Casey, Eric asked if one of the sites were selected for the short list, what would OKNA do? Overlook Neighborhood Association do?
My first question would be, why was that? Why was that selected amongst all of them? I think to get clarity, and then I'll say when, why, how many. More of those details. Again, we've got to get discussions as far as taking a stance or something of that nature. Again, that's to be decided as a collective group here. But I do know that it'd be worthwhile to get a better clarity on before they make that decision on, is one of these sites a potential to be a site, and why is it potential, and then that would probably have a better chance to be vetted out.
Yeah, I think that, you know, this is just my opinion, but I mean, if a site was chosen in Overlook, I think that is, you know, the board, like Michelle says, like we don't have a whole lot, but it would be nice to go to the neighborhoods, to the neighbors and say, you know, what do you think of this? And then ask the neighbors, you know, it's not up to just us 7 members to say, no, we don't like it.
Exactly.
I would go to.
We don't have much power. We are,
Yeah.
you know, we have certainly power by association, so to speak,
Yeah.
and we also can power by, you know, neighboring associations. If, you know, I'd like to get more information from other neighboring associations as far as other things I haven't thought about or our committee hasn't thought about. But the city is doing, you know, their due diligence and whatever they want. So, but it behooves the residents that may be affected by it. More specifically, the one that really caused my attention seemed to be not necessarily Patton Tank, but is the Willamette Bowl.
Yeah,
that one seems to be an area where you know, families, bicyclists, you know, park goers hang out at, you know, and why would that be an area of consideration? But that would be worthwhile, not only from the association, but individual residents or those who are directly in front of that to make their voice heard.
Yeah, and I think that would be something, you know, that we could work on with the neighbors and, you know, have the meeting and the neighbors can voice their opinion and say, you know, we support it or we don't support it. And the majority of people that either support or support go behind that.
Yeah.
But I do believe the dog bowl is a fairly dangerous area. I mean, it's not dangerous, it's just impractical.
Yes.
And the fact that it's actually on a dump that we don't really know what's underneath there.
Well, hey, Hazelnut Grove is on hazardous, you know, areas and landslides somehow.
So there we go. We don't know what the city's
and really, and I'm not saying that to be cynical. It's just I'm shocked and even
I agree though. I think that if people really are opposing of specific areas, it's worth it to write a letter to, you know, the city council saying why you support or don't support a specific area so that they can know.
And thank you, Alexandra. I've seen your responses and others as well to, you know, voice your concern as far as where to do so. I think on the letter, excuse me, on the note from the city, there was an email there that might be worth advocating if you're in that neighborhood. As far as the, you know, our role here as an association, again, I want to cull as much details as possible and potentially send a letter to the city to get more clarification on, you know, criteria, you know, what this means for Hazelnut Grove, why are those particular areas are you know, been identified, and then as well as maybe voice for, you know, the dog bowl, you know, and others. So happy to do so. Happy to do so. Again, who knows if it's going on deaf ears, but at least for what's worth, we're making a stance on that.
Yeah, and I think that the empty places, empty lots of land, such as the dog bowl, that's all that they were supposed to come up with. They weren't supposed to go and say, oh, is it close to transportation? Is it close to this and that?
Yeah.
They were just, so I think we absolutely need to track this, but I think we also need to be aware that none of our sites may be selected in this area.
Could be.
And theoretically, North Portland should only get one of these.
Theoretically.
We'll see. Theoretically, I know there's a bunch more in North Portland than there are in other parts of town, partly because just we have some more open spaces. But hopefully when this all moves through the process and everything, I think we said it in our letter before that, you know, installing managed camps in all sections of the city, each neighborhood should be held accountable to participate in the process by identifying appropriate locations for local managed camps. Well, they've kind of taken that out of our hands, but the last part, but installing the managed camps in all sections of the city, so that we all share the
Share the love.
Share the variety in housing.
there is that. I mean, just not not in our backyard. That's one thing, but certainly a fair share is one piece. But it should not be multiple ones in northeast Portland just because hey, we've been accepting up to this point or whatever. So I think that's a valid point, and I want to make sure that's being voiced and heard. Yeah.
Other questions for Casey?
But I do know that, so I do encourage you to take a look at the views article, because About Reporting also provides other avenues. Specifically, one point of contact is my understanding an area where once you do report on a site, then they have to go out there and visit it. But there are other avenues to voice your, I don't know, questions and
concerns,
disagreement, toward these proposed sites.
All right, anything else for Casey?
Thank you, Casey.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
It's a difficult topic.
Public comments. Do you have time for those? Does anybody want to make a statement? Should be 2 minutes or less, in case anybody does.
This is Steve Barney. I'm glad to hear the.
One person. That's okay. One person at a time, please. Steve, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, thank you. I'm glad to hear the comments about the what we consider the dog bowl. I'm personally involved with it as I live right next to it. And I'm a little concerned that we would be having more people getting involved in kind of the negativeness of what's going on with crime in our area. I had a car stolen just before Thanksgiving, and just, neighbors' cars getting broken into, as everyone knows, it just seems like we would be getting more crime into our area.
Welcome to my neighborhood.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, sorry, Steve.
Sorry, Steve.
And I'd also like to throw in, my car was stolen.
Is it a Subaru?
It is.
Yep.
Yes, and an 84, my trusty little beige one. At any rate, and it was recovered by Oregon State Police at the Sandy Am rest stop, I-5 southbound, just below Salem.
Wow.
And I had already contacted my insurance company about it, but it was recovered on Monday, in the latter afternoon. And so fortunately I had AAA, and so the car is back here, but it's not drivable. And so it's going to be going in to get assessed as to whether the ignition can be fixed. It didn't get punched out, but it got screwdrivered to the point where it's not usable. The glass is all intact, and the wheels are all pointing in the right directions. So I'm optimistic, but with a car that old, I'm not not holding my breath. It'll be interesting to see how that one unfolds. But yes, I'm a victim. I noticed on next door that somebody else said it was just a matter of time. Their legacy was recently stolen right here in Overlook. And so I think it's related to some of the, if not the actual residents, but the visitors to some of the encampments. So that's rather discouraging. So.
Yeah. Sorry, George.
Hey, yeah, it's tough beans. And of course, down there where you are, Marcy, I had occasion to go down. I think you had mentioned something, and I haven't been back down there since, about a forester that was down there on the sidewalk.
Oh yeah, they drive down the sidewalk to get into their camps.
Well, this one had the windows smashed out, and the tires were flat and everything else. So when a police officer actually came to my door to give me the case number and also just ask a couple more questions, And I mentioned to him, that down on Going, there's a Subaru Forester that has been shabbed and is on the sidewalk. And he looked kind of quizzical for a second and said, I think I heard about that. I said, well, maybe somebody should check that one out a little closer, because it shouldn't be on the sidewalk to begin with. It should get, towed out.
Yeah.
But,
There was,
what can I say?
sorry.
It's just zany. It's just too dang crazy is what it is.
Yes.
They like Subarus down at that one.
There was somebody else.
There's, I want to make sure but certainly be kind to yourself. Don't go on next door, because that's just going to give you anxiety, because everyone has their own story. It's off the charts right now.
Yeah.
Carol?
It looks like Michelle has an announcement, Brad.
Okay.
And I guess Carol.
Michelle and then Carol. Go ahead, Michelle.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to remind you that this coming Saturday, the 24th, we're going to have a big refresh at our intersection repair on Overlook Boulevard outside of the Overlook House, and everyone is invited to come by. You can either paint the street with us or just come and treat it like a block party and have a good time. We are requesting funding from the Neighborhood Association to help pay for some permanent street furniture, which would be some concrete planter boxes instead of the wooden ones that we had there. And so we'll be talking to the board about that request at the board meeting on Tuesday, in 2 weeks, and we'll appreciate your support there as well. But come by on the 24th if you're able to, and take a picture. It's a piece of history now.
Thank you. And thank you for leading that.
Thank you for organizing that, Michelle. It's going to look great.
My co-organizer, Amara, is the next generation, and I kind of inherited it from Leslie. So this is definitely being passed along in the neighborhood, and the repainting was definitely at Amara's request. So there's a whole new generation of young parents who want to leave their mark on the neighborhood as well. I think it's great.
Awesome.
Carol.
Thanks. I think a lot of you know I've been part of the Friends of the Overlook House board for some time. And Overlook House during the pandemic COVID shutdown has worked it with its fingernails trying to stay alive. And I think we're recovering this summer. We're working on it. The first Sunday in August, like we have done in past years, although not last year, we're going to try and have a very scaled down ice cream social again. So Sunday at late evening, late afternoon, early evening, 6 to 8 o'clock. It'll be just the ice cream and socializing the ice cream for a small price. Come enjoy yourselves. If somebody wants to volunteer to help scoop ice cream or do toppings or set up tables or break down tables, we're always welcome some extra volunteers around that time, but we would love to see everybody at our ice cream social that we're trying to, part of getting us back to normal.
Is that Sunday the 1st?
Sunday the 1st.
Okay.
Carol, maybe you can send a little write-up to Casey and she can include it in the weekend update just before that.
We've already sent a save the date earlier, and
awesome.
We've got someone on our committee that is making sure that that will happen. I just thought I would mention it here tonight.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Yep, I got an email and I was planning on putting it in next week's.
Awesome. Awesome.
Other public comments?
This is Steve Barney. I do have a comment that I am now the co-lead of the Overlook Neighborhood Emergency Team. I'll be co-leading with Carlene McCabe. And we're planning on doing a few events, and it probably will be in late the fall or early winter to try to get a little bit more involvement of some of the community people. And that's about all I have to say. So the Overlook Neighborhood emergency team is still active.
Great, and make sure that if you have anything you want to include in the either the quarterly Overlook Views or the weekly e-blast announcing events or just write-ups or whatever, please feel free to submit those, okay?
All right, well, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, any other public comments? All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make to adjourn.
Thank you.
Ms. Casey, I'll second.
All right. Anybody objecting for the good of the order? All right. We are done. And hopefully, Alexandra, I didn't butcher this too badly. So, all right,
Great job,
folks.
Brad. Thank you for your help today.
All right. Have a
Thanks,
good
bye,
evening.
Everyone.
Go Overlook.
All right. And enjoy the beautiful weather. Isn't it nice to do this instead of what we did a month and a half ago? All right. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.